remember the first time I came to church. It was very interesting. I was 12 and a half years old, and I got there one February morning, my first day, and the bishop, or the branch president from Kitchener, Louis Ben, got snowed in and couldn't come and open the building for us. But I'd gone to Scouts in that building. It was across from the old Legion Hall, I think on Walnut Street. I forget the name of the street. But anyway, because I'd attended Scouts there, I knew how to get into that building. So I climbed up a tree on the back and slipped up the back window and got in and opened the building up for people. And for the first 15 minutes, we swept the floor of cigarette butts and collected the beer bottles.
There were some amazing people in the Galt branch in those days, as there is today. But you know, we expected a lot of them, and we got a lot from them. They really worked. I recall the building of the first phase of the chapel, when we would be up there almost every night of the week, painting, putting roof tile on, and the kids were cleaning up around the site, picking bricks up and paper and things like that to keep it tidy. One of the things that stands out in my mind more than anything is Doris Clemens with her family. When we were delivering catalogues, she would load a station wagon up until it was dragging on the floor, and the kids would hang on the side and away where they would go delivering catalogs. And I think that was a sight worth seeing.
They came out, you know, like there was a spring, summer, big ones, and then there were some small ones, and magazine type things, and then that's what we did. And then the kids just went up and dropped them off. We had a wagon, and they went down one side of the street and back up the other side. And then I picked the kids up and went to the other section. Oh yes, in between 6 kids in there, plus the catalogs, plus all their clothes and whatever else was in there, you know. It was full.
There were not many of us in the Relief Society, and it amazes me when I look back at the amount of baking that so few sisters did. And every Saturday morning at the crack of dawn, we were down at the Galt Market selling baking to raise money for the building fund. We would come away every Saturday with our orders for the next week. The baking got done, the money was raised, and the blessings came from it. And some of the blessings was the very closeness that we felt. We were a real family. And I'm so thankful that we have such a wonderful chapel where we can come and worship in peace and safety.
That we always had really good baking done. There was a lot of good bakers in the Cambridge branch at that time. Diamond dip dinners, and we had walkathons, and I remember Sister Augusta Paulo was well along in her pregnancy with her twins, and she walked 25 Ks.
Also during that period, we dedicated the land. We had a special meeting. We were in the Legion Youth Center, and after sacrament meeting, we all went out to the building site, and there was hardly anything around on that site in those days. And and it was raining. It was pouring rain as we left the chapel, and we wondered whether we should postpone it. But we went out to the building site, and as we arrived there, the sun came out and shone down upon that building site, and we dedicated the land for the chapel and the continuing of the Lord's work. And President Hingston had a great goal to have our branch qualified to have a building constructed on that lot on Myers Road. And during those years, wonderful things happened. President Hingston, that building was constructed in 1977, and President Hingston had just had an accident prior to that, and was in a neck brace. I always remember him coming to that first meeting in the building in that neck brace, but he would not want to miss that for anything. And we just had a wonderful spiritual meeting. President Hingston always emphasized the importance of our spirituality and being close to the Lord, and through that the Lord blessed us.
Some of the most treasured memories I have are of the years that we spent here in Cambridge. We were a family. We really were a family. I am just so very grateful that I was here during those years, because the growth was really evident as we worked together, shoulder to shoulder. Remember the dances that we used to have in the old Scout Hall? New Year's Eve was always a wonderful time here, because even though we were few in number, we brought the people from Bradford over, and we had dancing, and it was a wonderful time.
Shingling the roof, and Brother Colin Orr came from his office. He was an executive with his company. He came, and we were up on the roof. We saw him pulling in his car. He got out. He had his suit on, and we thought, how is he going to help us with shingling this roof, dressed the way he was? But lo and behold, he opened his trunk and pulled out a big set of overhauls and put them on over top of his suit, and up he came on the roof and helped us finish shingling the building.
I moved into Cambridge from Welland, and I was released from being the bishop in Welland on one Sunday, and the following Sunday I was sustained as the bishop in the Cambridge ward, and nobody knew. You know, the stake presence, he had kept it a pretty good secret, and even my children didn't know. So they came to church with me, and we all sat on the back row in the chapel. And you know, when the announcement was made, my kids were all looking around and giving it one of them, and they just didn't know.
My husband Phil was very ill during the latter parts of his life, and we were so blessed to have so many people come and visit with us. When the young members of the priesthood would come over and take his wheelchair, and he would have the opportunity to pass the sacrament. He had a squeaky wheelchair, and one wheel would squeak, and I could always tell he would start on the far side of the chapel and administer the sacrament to so many. And when Sister Lynn Hawkins used to come and read to him every night while I was working for an hour from the Book of Mormon, was extremely important to Phil. Those times was the time when he would stay awake. For that, I'm most grateful for the church and for the love and fellowship that each one has given to us.
Chapel, so that the people in Preston and Esper have got their own chapel and settled in, because it'll take 8-9 years before it's actually completed, as it did for our chapel we have now. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of dedication by a lot of people, but we saw the church grow. We saw the ward grow, and we saw great benefits from working on that building.
We should be so reverent and so thankful for what we have. The chapel was built with a lot of love and a lot of caring, and a lot of people gave up themselves.
Come regularly to show our gratefulness to the Lord for the blessing of having such a wonderful building here. And it will be wonderful when we can see one day when it's packed full of people and investigators, and I'm sure that's going to happen because of the people that live here.
Just have faith that the Lord will guide and direct you no matter what you have to go through. I found that in my life.
Stay close to the church and keep the commandments and keep sacred covenants in the temple.
There's no more important work than the work we do in our own homes. To look after our precious youth. They're the future of the church. Prepare them for the greatest blessings that they can have. Marriage in the temple, serving missions, and raising righteous families.
As I look back 60 years ago to where there were 3 or 4 of us attending in different halls, and see today that there's 2 Cambridge wards, I think it's pretty safe to say in 20 years there will be a Cambridge stake. I don't suppose I'll be around for that, but if there is, I'll be back. But if people do their missionary work the way we're supposed to do it, 20 years from now there could be a stake in Cambridge.